Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome to you both. I guess I'm going to have to work. This is the first hearing here, and I'm going to have to work around Mr. Strong's head right in front of me to see you. So just don't move, Mr. Strong, and I won't have to move my firing position again. Mr. Chairman, the CCP has spent time, money, and resources greatly expanding their capabilities for espionage. We all saw last week, as we've talked about here, unendingly, the spy balloon carrying thousands of pounds of equipment made its way across the United States. This was not an anomaly. For years, the CCP has tried to infiltrate every facet of American life, including our telecommunications infrastructure. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to enter for the record a letter from the Competitive Carriers Association and other trade associations on the necessity of full funding to rip and replace untrustworthy equipment from our networks.
Without objection, so ordered.
Admiral Harris and Dr. Sisson, glad you're here. Broadband internet access is vital to ensuring the United States continues to grow technologically, economically, and I would suggest to you, especially educationally. However, billions of dollars of Chinese equipment and services deemed to pose a threat to national security remain in place. While Congress has taken steps to fund the removal of this equipment from our networks, it will take time to complete. To the panel, that would be you all, how much of a risk does Chinese-made telecommunications technology embedded in our internet infrastructure pose to our national security?
Well, I'm not able to put a risk indicator on it with any kind of confidence. I think it is certainly something, you're correct, that has received appropriate scrutiny and should continue to do so, not least because it is additional evidence that the CCP's primary objective is not to beat us in war, it's to beat us in everything else. And this is part of that, and we need to be attentive to that strategic view.
Thank you. Admiral?
Yeah, I'll say, sir, that I think it is a risk. When I was ambassador to Korea, we worked with the Korean government to have them not include Huawei in their 5G infrastructure. And I think that we have achieved that objective in a variety of countries around the world. We can't ever forget that the Chinese intelligence law requires Chinese companies, requires them to provide information to the government of the PRC when asked to do so.
Okay, thank you. And going down a different road here, Admiral, the PRC maintains military ties with U.S. partners and allies such as Thailand, Philippines, Djibouti. How should the U.S. respond to counter the continuing expansion of PRC's military ties with U.S. partners and allies?
Well, I mean, there's a number of ways we can and should do that. One is to continue to help our allies, partners, and friends. You mentioned Thailand. Thailand is a treaty ally of the United States, and they have a strong relationship with China. South Korea's only ally is the United States, but their largest trading partner is China. So it is possible to walk and chew gum at the same time. Countries are sovereign, and they act in their own enlightened self-interest, as we should. There's nothing wrong with having a trading relationship with China. We do too. But China is the aggressor. I view them as the adversary. The national security strategy views them as a competitor. And so we have work to do in that regard.
Yeah, you know, and just to close that out with Djibouti, because I was still involved in building Camp Lemonnier when we resurrected it into a really first-class place to deploy to. We know that we were there first, then the Chinese piggybacked on what we were doing, and we know what our purpose is in the region. We're still not too sure what their purpose is in the region, and I see my time's about to run out. I'm going to yield back 25 seconds, Mr. Chairman.